Hi everyone, this is Kimberly Sullivan and welcome to my presentation on the Sketchbook project. This is a digital library that works together with artists around the world to create a library with various different sketchbooks from different artists who will submit their different works. So how it works is that artists will pay a $30 fee and they'll receive a sketchbook in the mail and they'll complete it however they like with whatever materials, whatever subject they'll like, whatever they like to do, and they'll mail it back to this company and their material becomes digitized and uploaded onto the library. So that's the basics of what this library does. And so on your screen right now, you're just looking at an example of one such sketchbook, and this one just happens to be on birds. But let's go back to their main page. Personally, when I was going through their websites, I found that it was a little clunky to use and that you had to click through a lot of their different tabs and their different pages to get to all the information I needed to figure out what exactly was going on, and so I could get all the information I needed. So I felt like in that sense, you definitely found out that they are a nonprofit organization. And see here, it takes you to a different thing entirely. Like it seems like it's a different company, but they are hosted by what's called the Brooklyn Art Library. So the sketchbook project is like essentially a project that the Brooklyn Art Library does. And so their mission is to gather all these different works of art from artists across the world, and they want to gather all this different representations of how people feel and how people think, just to remind the world that people have the right to express themselves artistically. And they are a nonprofit, so they rely entirely on donations and people buying the sketchbooks, which they do cost $30. So if you choose the standard sketchbook and you take it to your cart, let's see, go check out. Bear with me while it's loading. So yeah, the basic sketchbook is $30. And then you enter all your information, and then yeah, you go through the works and you fill it out, and then your art can be seen essentially forever. So through their website, if you let me go back, you see, this is what I mean about it being clunky. You have to hit through all these different tabs to get to where you want to go. But essentially, they house over 60,000 different sketchbooks. And within these sketchbooks, they have, I think it was 30,000 different artists from around the world, because anyone is able to participate as long as they purchase a sketchbook. And they're all completely different. They're all unique in their own ways. Some of them have titles and some of them are just untitled. And there's essentially no rules. Like this one is called a ducks, and it's a tiny book of ducks. And you can just have your art of ducks digitized forever. And you know, it's fun because we get to keep that online forever. So they didn't have a clear, defined 5-year policy, but they've been doing this since 2006, and so they don't seem to have any plan to stop what they're doing now. They did have a little bit of a hiccup with COVID where their physical libraries were kind of put on hold for a while. So they did rely a lot on their digital collection. And it's organized kind of weird because they have this drop-down menu with different themes, and you have to choose from what different themes that they have provided. So you can't type in a specific thing. Like you can't type in like dogs specifically. There's specific wordings you have to pick from, which I mean, I don't really like. But then you can also search up here by different artists, their locations, their mediums. And you can even go to a completely random sketchbook and you just bounce around and see something completely random. So to access their website, it's completely free, but they do rely on the donations because they are a nonprofit, which is reflected in the website itself because it's kind of weird to use. It's not very cohesive, and using it just feels really clunky. But for what the project's trying to do, I think they do a pretty good job for the most part. I mean, they have a nice little homepage, but at the same time, I'm not really sure which is their homepage because every time you click, you get to a completely different thing. So I think they definitely need to focus a little bit on refining their website. They don't have any information about their technology information, about like how they're hosting or anything along those lines. But so it is a little frustrating at first to use. It took me a while to kind of figure out where to go and what to click to find all my information. But overall, as a project, it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting idea. And this one picture in particular, you can see all these are sketchbooks that they have in their collection, because they do have a few select locations where you can go physically in person to look at the sketchbooks, which I think is so cool, because you get to interact with someone like who could be like from across the world, and you just have this connection that you otherwise wouldn't have made. But they do have, hosted by, let me go find it again, the Brooklyn Art Library. They do host other, they host like workshops and various programs. They host like workshops, and they do have a little blog / newsletter that if you're interested, you can choose vision boards, tool making, just offer different artistic classes you can take. And I feel like $10 for classes, it seems pretty reasonable. And within their newsletter, it just has somebody who works for the company and who's also an artist. And so yeah, if you guys have a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. Once again, it's called the Sketchbook Project. And if you have any questions, just put them in the discussion board and I'll be happy to discuss them with you. Thank you very much.